Boru Aboye. In I think my second corporate gig, I was an implementation engineer, and that basically meant that my clients, like United Airlines or Toyota or Hilton Hotel or something like that, they needed a certain program created for their communication system, and they would send us the request. I would take it in and write a script and send some to engineering, send some to audio, send some to programming, test it, QA it, and then when it meets the standard, I send it back out to the client. Well, that also meant that sometimes there were failures in the system. If something that we had built for them didn't do what it was supposed to do, then they would call me. And I remember when I first started, when that would happen, I didn't know how to solve the problem. And I remember the first time, I got this frantic call, and then I say, okay, give me some time. I'm gonna start troubleshooting it. And I go to the audio department, and they couldn't help me figure it out. And then 10 minutes later, I'm in the engineering department, and they couldn't help me figure it out. And then 10 minutes later, I'm over here looking over the wall of my cubicle, talking to one of my coworkers, right? So within half an hour, I've got 5 or 6 people coming in and out of my cubicle. I got emails coming in. I got phone calls coming in, right? And it just creates this blah, right? This explosion of frenetic, chaotic energy. And after this happened about probably 2 or 3 times, I really got the sense that this is not cool. This is not how you solve problems. And what I realized in the process was that I was projecting my anxiety about not knowing how to solve the problem out into my workspace, and it was creating a lot of tension, unnecessary tension, between myself and my coworkers. And this is a super powerful lesson for us within the practice of Orisa lifestyle. This is the School of OrisaStudies, and I'm your instructor, Obafemi Origunwa. And today's lesson is about problem solving. It's about problem solving. And what I see today is that within Orisa lifestyle, we are normalizing anxiety and confusion and insecurity within our culture. We're normalizing it. Every time something happens, every time there's a discrepancy, every time there's something that somebody doesn't understand, we start running around like I was on my corporate gig. We're running from this department and that department. We're talking to this group and we're talking to that group. And we're doing all this stuff to try to get all these people to support us and to agree with us and to validate us and to comfort us and to coddle us and to make us feel comfortable in the face of uncertainty. But that's not how you solve a problem. That's not what you do when you know how to solve a problem. When you know how to solve a problem, you don't need 20 people. When you know how to solve a problem, you don't have to go around ringing bells and sounding alarms and bringing all this attention to yourself. You know where the problem is, you zero in on where that problem is, and you solve it. Even when you're talking to one person, you may have, you realize that this individual is troubling you somehow, and you talk to him and you're blah, 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 blah. You're all over the place. You're all over the place. Because you still haven't defined, this is the actual problem, okay? We agreed that you would do this. On this day, you did something different. On that day, you did something different. On another day, you did something different. Either you don't understand the agreement or you're no longer upholding that agreement. Which one is it, right? Let me understand where you're coming from, because this is what I see. That's the problem. You can be clear, you can be concise, you can be succinct, and you address exactly what is not what you want it to be. Okay? And so for us who are practitioners of Orisa lifestyle, whose culture is so vast and so diverse, you got multiple different variations in Nigeria, and then you've got multiple variations in Brazil, in Trinidad, in Cuba, in Ecuador, all over the world. where our tradition has been upkept, is characterized and defined by diversity. So the question about, or the assumption that there would be some level of uniformity or standardization, it just doesn't. That's not reality. So we've got to accept that things are going to be different from what you had expected. You've got to go about the problem solving process in a scientific and methodical way. And I want you, particularly as African American practitioners, we are like all of our people from around the world. I know this. I've seen this everywhere. I've found African people. We can be a bit dramatic, and I want you to pull back the reins on that. I want you to tuck your wings a little bit, and slow down. Don't get caught up in the drama that other people are throwing into your face. Because what is really happening? What's happening is that you have some sense of insecurity. So I'm going back to my corporate gig, right? My client, let's say my client is at United Airlines. Clearly, he doesn't know how our system works. He just knows that they're getting failure in Boston and New York and in Atlanta, and those are the major hubs, and there's thousands of calls that are dropping, or information is not being passed, and it's costing the company money, and they're chewing his behind off, right? So he's in a panic, okay? He's insecure, but because he doesn't have any idea of what to do. He's just at the front line where failure is occurring. He calls me, right? And because I don't know how to solve the problem, I'm insecure. So I absorb his insecurity and I take that on, and now I'm exacerbating that insecurity, and I'm spreading it all around my office. I'm running all over the place, getting everybody amped up, okay? And they all think that this is, the end of the world. It ends up being like Chicken Little. The sky is falling, right? It's not that serious. If you take an extra 15 minutes before you start calling all over the place, you're going to be able to at least determine, oh, this problem belongs in engineering. I don't have to go to audio. I don't have to go to programming. I don't have to go. No, this is a problem that belongs in the engineering department. And if I think about it a little bit more, actually, I know that engineering, this guy, Thomas, is the one who runs this part of the engineering department. Let me go exactly where I can get the problem solved. Hey, Thomas, I see this is a problem that pertains to this. I think you know about it. What do you think? Just Thomas and I solve the problem. I go back, boom, and the client is happy, right? So for you as an African American practitioner, what I need for you to do is I need you to think about, accept this idea that for every problem, there's a solution. Every problem is born with a solution. What you need to do is take extra time, more time than you think may be normal or necessary. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in the insecurity of your environment, and couple that with your own personal insecurity, right? Whatever people are bringing to you, whatever people are putting in front of you, be confident and certain that that problem has a solution, right? And wherever you feel yourself getting caught up and compelled to react to those problems, go within yourself to ask, what is it that really is, triggering me right now? What am I really responding to? Am I responding to the problem that they're bringing to me, or am I responding to something that is, an insecurity within myself? And once you can make the distinction between those two, it's going to be much, much easier for you to respond accordingly and not be reactionary and anxious and create a Chicken Little effect of the sky is falling. The sky is falling. The sky is not falling, y'all. The sky is being held up as it had always been held up. Just take it easy, define the problem, and go about solving it in a methodical and calm way. Aboro aboye, aboshishe.